You aren't responding to any of my German phrases. Is it because it's so terrible that
No. I think I said "bitteschön" yesterday, didn't
you
I?
did, but I mean, bitteschön is the one phrase everybody knows in German.
But if you speak German to get better at German, I should speak English to get better at English, shouldn't I?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
German, so
I get it. I
like
get it. Well, every now and again, when I say something in German, maybe just humor me and just respond back in German, please.
I try.
From 7 CTOs, my name is Etienne De Bruin, and you're in the CTO studio. So, amazing CTO. I've been receiving your newsletters. I just want to compliment you. Jam packed. I have to save every single one of them. I have to read and reread each one of them. There's always some fascinating nuggets in there. So, just off the bat, I want to encourage everybody to go to Amazing CTO and subscribe to Stefan's newsletter. Tell me about it. Just how did you come up with that, and what was the inspiration behind doing that?
I think I have a lot of opinions. So people who know me know that I have a lot of opinions, essentially in everything. Sometimes these opinions are founded in experience. Sometimes they are not. But I have a lot of opinions about software development, doing it for 40 something years. And for that, I thought I create a newsletter that's a little bit different, that takes news that I think is newsworthy. There's so much stuff around for CTOs, but all my coaches don't have time. So I thought I'd take the things and then essentially put my opinion on these topics. And it was fun. It's fun. And so I think half the thing is that I do it for the readers, and the other half is for me because I enjoy it so
Mm.
much.
Yeah, I think in my experience, CTOs don't have a problem expressing their opinion about sort of the very narrow stuff that they do know and understand. But I do find it a unique skill to be able to participate in public discourse with the freedom to say what you think and not be afraid, or even not find it unnecessary to say something. Like, I do have many opinions about things, but I don't always feel the need to participate in what's happening in public. I'm genuinely inspired by that. So I just wanna learn from you around this.
I also was very interested in everything. So it looks like from for example, my studies, I started with computer science and the minor was physics. And then I thought, well, physics is too demanding. Computer science already was demanding. Then having physics studies on the side, which was essentially all the same like all the physics students. So I thought, oh, that's too hard. And then I took up medicine as a minor, where the idea was training computer scientists so they can write software for medical machines and they understand doctors. So I'm not a doctor, but that was the study essentially to understand doctors. And then, but then I was interested in philosophy, and so I switched to philosophy.
Mm.
And so I'm always interested in everything, and because I'm interested in everything, I also have an opinion in everything. So that's, and as I said, sometimes it's more founded in experience, sometimes it's less.
Yeah, but I think it's the having the opinion, but then sharing it is the part that's mysterious to me.
Not only I share a lot of my opinion is I thought about it a lot before. So it's
Mm,
not like,
yes.
okay,
It's not like
first
a
glimpse and
reaction.
I share it. I haven't, when I'm going to build an opinion, I thought a lot about the things. And then sometimes I think other people might need to know this because I
Mm.
spent a lot of time on this already. And then I share the opinion because I think I can help people out
Well,
to
I
work.
think what I'm learning from this is, a well formulated, well thought out, spending time on it. I think sometimes I think, well, I have to react to stuff, which is not what I'm hearing from you, which I find actually quite inspirational in this moment. It's not about participating in the public discourse by standing on the sidelines and just agreeing with whoever's the loudest, or reacting to whatever's being stated, but to think deeply about how you feel about things, deconstruct the ideas, reconstruct them with your expertise and experience, and then to, I imagine at that point, your confidence level to actually then share in the public square is probably at a whole different level. So I definitely, I love that. I think you just helped me. Dankeschön.
Bitteschön.
You're a great coach. You're letting me do all the hard work. You're not saying anything. You just let the client speak. I love it.
That took a long time.
So you became a coach, specifically, I think, to CTOs, and I think you mentioned that you are working with other coaches. Today's topic is going to talk about some vision, strategy, and alignment. What is it that you're seeing happening, and tell me some things about what you see for vision setting, strategy building, and then subsequent alignment.
I might start with a little bit something different. Different. Um, but I saw a lot of stuff happening, and in startups with CTOs, in technology departments, but also in the broader area of startups. Talked to many founders, and after some time, after some years, I thought the problems I see, a lot of them are because the company does not have a vision and a strategy. So a lot,
Mm,
for example, something that comes up quite often with CTOs is with my coaches is developers who want to go from Angular 1 to React to Angular 2 to Svelte to idle. And that's one thing I see a lot. Or the discussion, should we have microservices or not? Or should we go to this cloud or that cloud? And a lot of this is happening, from my point of view at least, because the company, and in this instance, the technology department doesn't have a vision, a strong vision and a strategy. And because there is no vision and no strategy,
mm,
people in the department or in the company, in the startup as a whole, are not guided enough in their decisions.
mm. Yeah, and so then you have technical leaders, CTOs wondering, well, why can't I make progress, or why do I feel the way I do? But then, when in actual fact they are operating outside of that vision.
Yes. And you made the point about leaders. I think if you want to be a leader, you need to lead people. And that begs the question, where do you lead people to?
Mm,
And so a lot of my coaches struggle with being a leader. And again, that's also something, they don't have a vision, so they don't know where to lead people to, so they can't be a leader. Um, and the vision, I always have a very simple example for a vision and some strategy. And the vision essentially is like, if you have a company hiking event, company is going on a hike. And the vision then would be having barbecue at the sea in the evening. That's the vision. The vision is self-motivating. The vision is self-evident. The vision is self-explanatory. So no explanation, no motivation, no evidence, because the vision speaks for itself. Having barbecue at the sea in the evening. And I'm a vegetarian, so nevertheless, having barbecue at the sea in the evening. And the strategy is, how do we get there? So the vision is where we want to be. It's a golden, shiny place in the future. And the strategy is how we get there. And in this case, it might be that we go on the left of the mountain, on the right of the mountain, or at the river. But as a leader, I choose a strategy going left of the mountain because right of the mountain is too dangerous. And if you go by the river, everyone is bathing all the time or is like fishing all the time. So we will never arrive. So for that reason,
For those who don't know German, when he says bathing, he meant swimming.
sorry. Yes.
No problem.
Yep. Sometime in the future, ChatGPT will automatically autocorrect me speaking.
You're
It
doing
would be
great.
funny how I sound. Then, so, so I chose the strategy to go left of the mountain. Um, and that's a very simple example of what strategy and what vision is.
Mm,
And all the employees on the hike know that if they arrive at the fork in the road, go left because that's the way, or left of the mountain. And
Mm.
that's the same in a company. So that's how I think a vision and a strategy help getting people to some
Yeah, I
decision.
think that's a very clear and a very easily to understand um, explanation. Sometimes people don't always know what's a vision and a mission, and so when things go, is it safe to assume that when things go badly on alignment, point people to the strategy? When things go badly on strategy, point people to the vision. Is that how you see it?
Yes. Yes. And the strategy should be something that's helping people make decisions. If the strategy is not helping making people decisions, should I do this or should I do that? Should I go to the cloud or should I not go
Mm,
to the cloud, or should I do microservices, or should I invest in mobile, or should I whatever? If the strategy is not helping you make the decisions, the right decisions, then it's a bad strategy. And if I look, because you asked before, what have I seen? I've seen so many bad visions and strategies. Just this week, I saw a strategy and vision, and it was so bad, really, really, really bad, I think. And I asked, wow, how did you come up with that? And the answer was, yeah, everyone went on an offsite, and then we discussed it, and then we compromised on that vision and that strategy. And
mm,
I think committee driven strategy and committee driven vision doesn't. It needs to be. It doesn't work. It's not a.
yeah.
It's not like, can't be a compromise of different ideas.
Yeah, so as we end this episode around vision and alignment, which I think is just a general reminder for all of us, hey, operate within a vision. How would you coach CTOs who are inside of a badly defined vision or or the lack of a strategy when there are these obvious issues? How do you coach CTOs inside of this who ostensibly do not really control the vision?
In several instances, we have a cross session together with the CEO, um, and several times this helped a lot. But how I see it is, there is a business vision and a business strategy, a product vision and a product strategy, and then a
Mm,
tech vision and a tech strategy. So it's not only that as a CTO you need the others, but you can create a tech strategy, which would be something like, we want to create deep features with technology that wows people, or something like that. Oh, it's our vision, or our vision is not the vision is, we want to build deep features, um, for example. And then a strategy is a way to get there. So that you can do something as a CTO, but usually try to talk to the CEO, because the business vision, the product vision, and the tech vision need to be aligned. Otherwise, that's also something I see a lot is, the product department goes in this direction, tech goes in another, and business goes into that direction.
so you
And
see a hierarchy. So I also talk about this a lot, but you see the hierarchy of the reason this company exists is for vision that is, like you said, self-evident. It
yes,
draws people in. It's emotive. It's a state that the company wants the world to be in or something. Then you're saying in service to that vision, you can have then your product vision, technology vision as in service to, well, what do we want the products, the self-evidence of the product to be in the with this grand vision cast? How, the technology vision in many ways is, in my mind, yes, we're building a taxi cab dispatching app. But our technology vision is to be one where we draw in the world's best players to want to wake up every day and enjoy what they're coding. Is something like that?
I would
Or
try
is it
for something more specific. Like
something
if
more
your vision is
specific?
the same vision like every other company, it's hard to stick out.
Mm,
So yes, something in that direction, but I would really try hard because if it's for every startup in Germany, for example, the same could be the same vision. It's not very specific to you.
I
And
love
if
it.
it's not very specific to you, how does it
So
help?
so something that is, distinctively and uniquely true then also for the startup.
Yes.
Great. Well, do you see just wanna end off with this, do you see a role that the CTO can play in setting product vision?
Yes. I think that one of my pet peeves is that the CTO should be much, much, much more involved in product and
We
get
say the same things.
out of the execution
Mm,
service mindset into a creator mindset.
mm. Do you like this is a topology question, do you like when when the product people report into the CTO?
Yes, when I left the eBay company, I advised them to replace me with a CPTO.
Mm,
I think that's often make a lot of problems go away. But if you have a specific tech problem, if you're tech heavy, have a CTO. But if you create a website with a database, a CPTO might be
mm.
the right thing.
Very good. Some food for thought around product management, vision casting. Thank you, Stefan. So I really enjoyed yesterday when we talked about your analogy of casting vision. The strategy is how to get there and then to work with your team on alignment. I really loved the idea that if the strategy isn't helping you make decisions, it's time to maybe rethink your strategy. So I think that's all good. I want to turn today towards this whole AI thing that's happening, how CTOs are responding to this, all this talk about jobs being lost, this revolution that we're in. And clearly, it is a game changing revolution. I mean, or it's the beginning of one. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing as a CTO coach, obviously, as an experienced CTO. What are some of your thoughts around AI right now?
You should, my thoughts about AI for CTOs, you should have started 6 months ago.
Mm,
And if you haven't started yet doing something with AI, too late to the game. Um, my thinking is we don't know currently what's going on with AI. No one knows. Um, when I made the analogy this week to a coach. When I was doing my first job, I was creating a website at a company and I was creating HTML by hand. And this is how we did the internet in the 90s. I created, someone sent me a Word document. I created HTML from it by hand. And then some years later, someone came up with a CMS. Wow, CMS. No, everyone now is using a CMS, but we hadn't seen one. So obviously we couldn't use one. And the same is some years later, my startup, we had some trouble selling our B2B software. Why? Because SaaS was not invented yet. And then obviously today, trivial SaaS subscription, monthly subscription, done. And I think we're at the same point at AI, where the internet started. And there is this technology, but we don't know yet where how it moves. And I think we
mm,
can't imagine how it will change things and how it
mm.
will reflect on software development.
So, editor, just one note. Stefan, every time you hit the table, it makes a noise. Okay, let's continue. So, in this undefined state, what are you telling CTOs? How should they go about being with AI and all these changes? Let's say they did not start 6 months ago. How do you like to see CTOs show up right now?
What I tell everyone is that they should at least hire an intern with the title of AI something. Because if there is one person in the company who has an AI title and does nothing but thinking about AI, the state of AI, and how to apply AI to the business, and applying AI to the business more than putting some data into ChatGPT. So then it's not happening. So you need someone from morning to evening who is thinking about this, because otherwise there is so much stuff going on um, that AI might be fall to the side. And if you have someone, at least someone, if you can't afford a lot of people, then have just an intern who's thinking about AI and how to apply it to your business. Better have a team, and then in the future, it will be everywhere. But it's just like a little bit like in the past, people used email, and it was one department that used email. And I think that's where we are currently with AI.
Mm.
And then some years later, everyone uses email. But today, I think it could start with one person. Should start with one person.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think the part that is most scary for me, not only for myself, but for other people, is the idea that we don't know how to apply AI in our current businesses. We might say, oh, I am the CTO of a company that matches A with B. I don't really see a use for LLMs or the application of machine learning or data that necessarily impacts A connecting with B. But therein, I think, lies the danger, which is no, people are going to think differently about A and think differently about B. And you absolutely have to consider the data that's being used or just sitting around, and what are you not doing with your data, and how are you not building models around that. So I think to me feels very uneasy. It's like we're sitting on a volcano that's about to erupt.
Yes, I would agree. I don't feel uneasy. I think it's it's a very interesting time to live in. Um, Everyone laughed about the idea of singularity 20 years ago. Think a lot of less people are laughing now. Um, I think you really need to think about AI. It's like in the internet in 1995, as I said, no one knew what to use the internet for except like have a homepage with a phone number or something. And then all the other fantastic stuff happened. And if you, as a company, don't think about how it applies to you and what you can do with it, you will not come up with ideas. For example, in my newsletter, there was in the last newsletter, I think, was an article linked where a company, they fed all the Slack messages of their CEO into a local LLM and then made a bot that answered as with the voice, like text in the tone and with the ideas of their CEO. And I think if people do not play around with AI in the company, they will not come up with that. And I think
Mm.
this is something you need in the future as a company.
Yeah, I think at least how I am processing this is the idea and the notion that we're moving away from programming executable code towards a world where we are training models. For
Yes.
instance, one company I'm working with helps companies build budgets. And so they have thousands and thousands of budgets in their system.
Yeah.
And in the past, we may have said, well, let's sort of do some sort of standard deviation analysis on sort of a global median, and then just send a red flag if one budget line entry seems a little off or something. Now we're in this completely different world where, you should take those budgets, the thousands of budgets that you have, and use that to train a model on what is a quote unquote good and bad budget. And that already is switching from programming to training for me is one of the biggest shifts that we're having to facilitate.
Yes. I totally agree. And I think because people talk a lot about software development and I think the near time end game essentially is something like Star Trek, you know. It's not about writing software, it's not about plugging AI into my software, but AI is the software. So you have a very general AI system, and tell the AI system, um, please store every customer and the customer information somewhere, and I don't care where this is stored and how it's stored. And then I say, uh, um, I might say something like send a reactivation mail to all my customers, and then I don't know
Boom.
how this is happening,
Yeah.
but then a mail is
Yeah.
created,
Yeah.
or the
I
AI
love that.
decides to do reactivation on its own. But a lot of people currently think like we have the software that we have, but we just plug some AI in, and if AI is a microservice or something. But I think like a 20-year time frame end game is just to have a blob and tell the blob,
I I
and
love
that to,
that.
for the a CRM example, say something like, okay, I would like to have a web page, show me all the CRM data from customers of last week on a web page, and then a web page pops up,
Yes.
or in a Vision, in an Apple Vision Pro or something, wherever that pops up. But you don't write software, and AI is
Yes, and
just yes. Sorry.
yes, I often tell my children, and I have been telling my children that, especially as we were contending with Siri, my kids laugh at me because every time there's a Siri interaction, there's usually some profanity involved. But I often tell my children that the gold standard for me, for Siri, or for any voice activated assistant is the Star Trek computer do something for me, right? It's the being anywhere, anytime, and just saying the
Yeah.
words computer. And then, like you just said, it's not about the app. You're not going to say to the computer, load the, the, CRM app, or, load Yelp and find for me, isolate your search results too. And then, you're not programming an app. You're basically just, like you said, you just tell the AI what you want or what you need.
Yes.
And I was extrapolating that the other day to this idea that maybe our kids will look at these phones and be mystified at why did we download apps to the
Yes.
phone? Like what is that?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think we're going to look at these phones and say, remember when these phones were so dumb, like they were dumb terminals into the internet. I love the other day I saw you tweet about IRC on a VAX. That's basically how I also did IRC, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
And you talked about sort of the terminate stay residency of the app. Um, but I genuinely feel like we're going to be looking at our phones and say these were dumb green screen
Yes.
terminals into
Yes.
the so-called servers, i.e., the VAXs in floating in the cloud.
Yeah. Yes. Well, a little bit, a little glimpse is when you look. I think Terminator One or Terminator Two. I'm not sure. Where the main protagonist runs around trying to find a phone, and then try to explain to kids why the protagonist is running around trying to find a phone. It's totally bonkers, you know. And I think the same will happen. Like, why do you carry this thing around?
Yes,
And sometimes people today think AI ends with software development, ends with AI write me a CRM system, but that's not thought enough. That's not far enough.
I agree.
AI will not create software. AI is the
It'll
software.
just yes. Oh,
And
that is so
this is
beautiful.
the discussion about what I really like to have with people is how for the next 10 years and beyond, how roles change. Like we have developers, we have DevOps, we have product managers, we have CTOs. So which of these roles will stay? How will they change? Will the CEO like I mean, I'm not that huge of a Star Trek fan and basically Star Wars fan, so but Captain Picard would not tell someone write me an app, you know, or tell the computer write an app. It's not so the CEO would not transfer this from a captain to a CEO
Mm.
point, would not go to someone and say do this or that, but just tell the computer to do it. And so how will this roles change? And I think in the near future, like it's not 50 years away when this huge changes arrive.
So if
Um,
we take that to startups, what do you think is going to change? One of the things we're hearing the most right now is development teams. It's just going to be possible to do a startup with far less developers. It's one of the things we're hearing, right? Oh, dev teams of 3 or 4 versus dev teams of 30 and 40.
this is something, yes, I totally agree, but this is something that should have been happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We have seen all this off the shelf technology. We have seen these examples of companies. WhatsApp, I think, is an example. Very few engineers, billions of users. Um, and then, so this is already, I think, is happening. And for some reason, we created some blockage, some kind of blockage, which blocked the reduction of engineers, I think, because I don't know where the reason really is. But I think when I look at Hacker News, for example, there are so many threads about solo entrepreneurs, single developers creating great things. And then I see my coaches, which have trouble getting something done with 50 developers for various reasons. I think we have been blocked, and AI will really unblock this, and there will be some it's like an earthquake where some landscape has been um,
Split in half.
yeah,
Auf Deutsch bitte.
wenn zwei Erdplatten sich verhakt haben, also
Tectonic
two
plates
pieces,
have
yeah, two,
tectonic
exact.
plates have
Thank you for speaking German. I thank God, and they have tectonic plates. It's like tectonic plates, and they have been waiting for some time
mm,
to snap. But they
mm.
they haven't for various reasons, and I think AI will unblock this and really create a larger backlash on changes than it would otherwise have.
That's a very interesting comment. So you're saying, let's just go back to the Hacker News comment you made. So you're saying you're seeing these individuals and small teams doing amazing things on Hacker
Yes.
News, and then you have coaching clients, CTOs, who can't get anything done with 30 or 40 people.
Yes.
That's incredible. I mean, that is really fascinating.
So
So I wonder if are we moving then towards a situation where CTOs may not need to have people skills anymore?
yeah, perhaps AI skills. I read an article about VC money, and there was this point in it that the plan B of a lot of VCs, and I'm not very deep into VC. I know some and talk to some, but I'm not very, very deep in it. But the backup plan for a lot of VCs was acqui-hire, and it says something like, okay, each engineer is worth $1 million. So if the company can't make it, at least if you have 50 engineers, there is some value you can sell to someone, because in an acqui-hire sense, the company is something worth. I think that's one of the reasons that these engineering departments are that huge compared to what they achieve. And that's also seems to change. So there seem to be some several changes, several levels that taken together will create a tectonic change.
Hmm. Mm. Was kann man
May
sagen?
you live in interesting times. There's no German for that, so I would have to say. Uh,
What is the German phrase for may you live in interesting times?
I think the sentence is very un-German, so perhaps I'm not,
Would you
Japanese.
please, würden Sie bitte auf ganz interessante Zeiten leben?
Ich wünsche Ihnen, dass Sie in interessanten Zeiten leben.
You know, just the way you said that was so affectionate. I really appreciate that. I
My
wish for
pleasure.
you. I love that. Stefan, this was fascinating. I think we should talk more. What do you think?
Coming back to yesterday, I love talking. So
Okay. Well,
fine with me.
let me say
Can't
goodbye to
wait.
you, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be back very quickly.